Well, good afternoon. We are going to call the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education Board meeting 6 o'clock on the 20th of August to order. School is back in session and things are rocking and rolling, so we're excited for that. Would like for everyone to put their electronic devices on silent or vibrate if you would. And we have going to do our prayer and pledge. Mr. Holmes is going to do our prayer, but Mr. Jelante Davis is going to come and do our pledge. So if you'll go ahead and walk up this way and get ready, and then we will do that pledge in just 1 second.
For those that don't know and don't understand, this is what you call swag.
All right.
Let us pray. Father God, we come right now in no other way that we know how, but with humbleness and love in our heart. Father God, we come before you asking that you forgive us for our shortcomings, but continue to love us unconditionally. Father God, lead, guide, and direct us on the decision that we make that will be beneficial to all concerned. And it's in your Son, Jesus' name, we do pray and give all praises. Let every heart say amen.
Amen. And Mr. Davis has let me know he does not need the microphone, so he's going to lead us without the microphone. Go ahead, Mr. Davis. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Wow.
That was very most impressive. We're going to go ahead and roll into our school spotlight. Mr. Brown?
Thank you so much, Mr. Doss. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's now time for our Griffin-Spalding County School spotlight. Let's give it up for Future Road Elementary School. How many scholars attend your school? 584. What is your school mascot? Wally the Wolf. How many faculty and staff members work at your school? 74. A quote from the principal on why you love being the proud principal of the school. This will be my 12th year as the principal of Future Road Elementary. It is an honor and a privilege to lead our school's highly skilled and professional staff. The most fulfilling social and emotional aspect of the principalship at Future is the relationship I have built with students, families, and staff over the years. The most fulfilling aspect academically is being part of the beginning stages of learning and helping students develop a love for learning. At Future, we are committed to ensuring that everything we do, from pre-K to 5th grade, adequately prepares our students for the future. What good things are going on at the school socially and educationally? Socially and emotionally, our Future 15 Character Ed program continues to help create a district brand and produce strong teacher leaders and student leaders, making us a great school. Since our implementation of the Leader in Me program, which began in 2022, we have seen our teacher and student leaders flourish. Students are setting academic and personal goals, using lead measures each week to work towards meeting those goals, and are tracking their progress of these goals using student portfolios. We have developed a student lighthouse team which has over 40 4th and 5th graders who take on leadership roles both in the classrooms and around the school. This year, we are working to increase and expand participation among our parents and community members through service projects and events at our schools. Educationally, our teachers are deeply engaged in collaborative planning to ensure that student work meets the rigor of grade level standards. During the 2023-2024 school year, we were recognized as a Title I reward school. This designation means that we are in the top 5 percentile of Title I schools in Georgia that demonstrated significant progress in improving student performance over the past 2 years. Let's give it up for Future Road Elementary School for that. Last year, our students were actively engaged in reading through our Reading Counts program, and nearly read 23 million words. What is the school doing to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity among students, families, and staff? Future Road is committed by promoting diversity, inclusion, and equity among our families and staff. One of the biggest ways we have achieved this goal is by creating strong relationships with our Future Road families. We make it a priority to get to know all of our students and their families. During the 2023-2024 school year, we partnered with some of our own students, parents, and community members to host our first career day. It was a huge success. We look forward to repeating that event this school year. Every Friday, we have our clap out where our families come to cheer on their children in honor of meeting their goals and showing leadership characteristics. We have several events during the school year where parents, families, community members, and staff are invited to attend as an extension of both academic and social pursuits. Let's give it up again for Future Road Elementary. The Leader in Me program has been an excellent way to bring all of our students and faculty members together to promote not only great character in and out of our school, but to provide a safe, inclusive learning environment for all students. We believe every student, no matter their background, can be a leader, has genius, and has a voice. This social-emotional curriculum fosters and focuses on developing the whole child and empowers each student to lead their own learning and decision-making. Our students are able to voice their thoughts, opinions, and feelings about many things in and out of the classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's give it another round of applause for Future Road Elementary School as our August spotlight. Let's give it up for them. Future Road is in District 2, so we'll have Chairman Doss to present the certificate tonight.
If everybody wants to come over here to the
Mr. Doss, that concludes our report for School Spotlight.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Board members, item 4 on our agenda is just reminding us and reminding our constituents that we do have a Board of Education norms and protocols, and we have 10 major words that we use, and this month's word is hard work. And I just wanted to thank each and every one of you. I know Mr. Holmes wasn't able to make it because he wasn't feeling well, but going to LaGrange for the Archway Retreat, you put in some hard work. Collaboration sometimes is like herding ants, and it isn't always the easiest process, so I appreciate everybody that made that effort and did that, so thank you. We'll move on then to item number 5. I'll turn it over to Mr. Holmes for our school system announcements.
Thank you, Chairman. Good, Doss. Superintendent, Dr. Simmons, we have to do a do-over down at Great Wolf Lodge, so I just want to plant that seed. All right. We have our announcements for this meeting, our regular meeting, and we have a student, I'm going to make my language art teacher real proud. We have Winter Yakello. She's a 12th grader that attends Spalding High School. Her activities are she's a student body president, Beta Club president, HOSA member, Rotary Club member, 4-H member, and she's completed and won at the state and national level for 4-H competitions. She also a member of the Junior Guild membership, also a Spalding High School tennis player on the tennis team. Her major choice of subject is biology. Her first choice of colleges is UGA. And other colleges she's interested in is Georgia Tech and Emory University. I now present to the board and our constituents Ms. Winter Yakello.
Chairman Doss, members of the board, and Superintendent Simmons. My name is Winta Yakello, and I'm a senior at Spalding High School. I would like to thank the Board of Education for involving scholars in the district in the policy and legislative process. The announcements for the August 20th, 2024 Board of Education meeting are as follows. Griffin-Spalding County Schools will be closed Monday, September 2nd, 2024 in observance of Labor Day. Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 is the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education retreat at 8 a.m. Tuesday, September 17, 2024 is the next Board of Education board meeting here at 216 South 6th Street, Griffin, Georgia, 30224 at 6 p.m. Governance team, cabinet members, and stakeholders, this concludes the Board of Education announcements for August 20, 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, board members, we're at the point for the adoption of our agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair.
I have a motion by Mr. Holmes,
Second.
second by Ms. Cook. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0. We do not have any recognitions this evening, so we'll move on to item number 8 for public comments. Do we have anyone signed up for public? No one signed up for public comments this evening, so we'll go on to item number 10. If there is any guests that are here and you do need to stay and don't want to stay for the rest of our business meeting, now is a good time that if you wanted to slip out, you would not be disrupting, but we do invite you to stay if you would like to stay. So we're not going to take that break since we're only 5 minutes in. Board members, we'll move on to our consent agenda. What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. All right, that brings us to our action items. First up is Mr. Charles Kelly, Communication Aid. Dr. Ridley, I hear, is going
look a
to
little different,
take that
don't I?
spot. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Chairman Dawes, board members, and Dr. Simmons. Tonight I want to talk to you about the Department of Exceptional Students. We're requesting one additional communication aid allotment to meet the need created by increased use of virtual speech therapy sessions, as well as a one-to-one paraprofessional allotment to meet service needs in a student's IEP. Both of these positions will be paid through IDEA funds. A communication aide is a trained professional who works under the supervision of a licensed speech pathologist to support students with communication disorders. And a one-to-one paraprofessional provides assistance to students for the entire school day due to the student's identified deficits. It is recommended that the BOE approves one additional communication aid allotment to meet the need created by increased use of virtual speech therapy sessions, as well as a one-to-one paraprofessional allotment to meet service needs in a student's IEP. Both of these positions would be paid through IDEA funds at an approximate fiscal impact of $70,000.
All right, board members, you've heard the report. Is there any questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown, a second by Ms. McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0. Thank you. Mr. Wheeler is going to talk about our piggyback agreement commodity processing.
Good afternoon, Chairman Doss, board members, Superintendent Dr. Simmons. Griffin-Spalding School Nutrition is requesting approval to continue piggybacking on the commodity processing agreement with Carrollton City Schools. A little background on that. We've been in that processing, piggybacking for the last 2 years. It allows us to have better buying power and also kind of guarantees that the commodities that we order out of a year in advance will be shipped to us. It is recommended that Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approves the piggybacking agreement for school year 24-25.
All right, board members, any questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown, second by Ms. McDonald. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0. Mr. Wheeler, you're up again for our school property disposal.
Again, Griffin-Spalding School Nutrition is recommending or requesting the disposal of surplus property that is unserviceable in accordance with Board Policy DO, School Property Disposal Procedures. We have a lot of large equipment that over years have accumulated in the warehouse. It's no longer serviceable, it's outdated, or like those steamers that we've taken out in the past, that has to be disposed of. It's not something that you can really sell because it's outlived its serviceable date. So it is at this time that we recommend that the Board of Education approves the disposal of unserviceable nutrition equipment.
Just have a question.
Yes, Ms. McDonald?
Once this is approved, Mr. Wheeler, where does that go to, where does this equipment go?
I was looking for Mr. Ballard. What we're going to do is going to be sold mostly for scrap. Again, we've used it for 20-plus years in our own schools. And when you get into things like those steamers that we replace, the boilers are no longer safe, so no one's going to repair that. They're just going to take that and sell it for scrap metal.
So we'll get a little bit for it then.
Right, we're working with some partners that Mr. Ballard has to dispose of all of
Okay,
that.
all right, thank you.
All right, what is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Cook and a second by Mr. Brown. Any discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. That'd be 5-0. And Mr. Wheeler, our school nutrition pay rate.
Okay. Again, greetings. The Griffin-Spalding School Nutrition Department is requesting a salary adjustment to the nutrition pay scales to make us more competitive in the job market. The adjustment increase will be funded by the school nutrition program. A little background, all the districts around us have increased their pay by roughly $2. It was kind of, a way that they've remained competitive. I've included in the information the rates that everyone is moving to 24-25. We kind of sit in the middle because of our district size and our student count. So this will keep us right in the middle of the smaller counties and the larger counties. So it is at this time that we're requesting, the superintendent recommends that the board approves the salary adjustment for the nutrition pay scales, and this will be funded by the school nutrition department.
Okay, any questions, board members?
No question.
I just have one comment. I want to thank you for your hard work and the programming that you have brought here. Not only do all of our students eat at no cost to them, but we now have funds within that program to be able to give those increases, and I think that's just phenomenal. I can remember when I first came on the board, we were in deficit and pulling from the central account all of the time. So thank you for that hard work, and that is great. What is the pleasure of this board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept Mr. Wheeler so that when I visit school, the nutrition workers will take care of me. So I'd like to make that motion, please, sir.
We have a motion.
Second.
Thank you for the second, Ms. Cook. Any further discussion?
Just have a comment, Mr. Doss. Mr. Wheeler, I also agree with what Mr. Doss just vocalized, because when I started, we were pulling from the kitty, so to speak. And I just know you've done a phenomenal job. And you know that one of my initiatives has always been, since I came on the board, is to be sure our students are fed. I just wanted to publicly thank you for the work you have done, are doing, and will do to take care of our students and our faculties. And now we can give them a little bit more pay, and I'm all for that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
All right, what is the pleasure of this board? Excuse me, we've already had a motion and a second. We're now in favor to a vote. It'll be 5-0. Thank you. All right, Dr. Shepard, if you will come and talk about computer programming and engineering computers and monitors.
Good evening, Chairman Doss, school board members, and Dr. Simmons. CTAE department is seeking approval for new computers for AZK, Griffin High School, and Spalding High School in the areas of audiovisual, business computer labs, computer programming, and the engineering lab. The district is seeking to purchase 156 computers for the CTAE technology labs for $133,572 paid from our 24-25 Perkins 5 grant. Based on board policy DJE-R3 that supports purchasing technology, and in conjunction with the Director of Technology Services, Mr. Lonnie Harper, we need to update the computers in the following labs because they currently do not support the software that is required for our students to apply their learning in those pathways. It was recommended in our recent comprehensive local needs assessment. So the cost of the basic level computers is $753, and the I-7 level model, which is the next level up, is required for our audiovisual and our engineering pathways, and the cost for those computers is $1,119. If you'll look at the chart, AZK has one business class, and they would need about 11 computers to fit that class. The Griffin High School business labs have 2 classes, so they would need 56 total. Spalding High has one business class and would need 28. Griffin High, the programming, and we're actually finishing up from last year, so they would need 8 for one lab, and Spalding would need 9 for theirs. And then the next level labs for audiovisual and engineering, those are the more expensive ones. So Griffin High would need 28 for the audiovisual, and engineering would need 1 to finish us up for that lab, and then Spalding High would need 15 to finish us up in that lab. So it's recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve the cost of 156 computers for AZK, Griffin, and Spalding High at the cost of $133,572 in accordance with the approved Perkins 5 grant funds.
All right, board members, any questions?
Not a question, Chairman Doss, just more of a statement. I think this is something that really deserves some praise once we get them all shipped into the schools. I believe that we should definitely do some type of news story, letting the general public know about the funds and how they were used and the benefit that it's going to be for our scholars. And so I'm all for it. I'm glad that we are able to come to the table. One of the main things that we are here to do is to support student achievement. And in many different areas of where our scholars are working, this is one way that we are able to support our scholars with things that they need in order to become better scholars in our district. And so I just want to say that I fully support it, and definitely looking forward to unveiling these computers and seeing how they are used in our school district and how our scholars are using them. So I just wanted to make that known. Thank you.
Absolutely. So what is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
I have a motion. Did I hear a second by Ms. Cook? Mr. Brown? Okay. I have a motion and a second by Mr. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'd be 5-0.
Dr. Shepard, once they're ordered, what's the turnaround time for them to arrive?
So we are ordering them tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And once that's right, once that's in place, during the summer, the other ones that we ordered,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have our clear touch panels for GRCCA. Mr. Harper?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman Doss, Dr. Simmons, School Board. The Technology Department is seeking approval to purchase 32 clear touch panels for an amount not to exceed $151,334 to be paid for from SPOS 6. The original ViewSonics that were in there were installed when GRCCA was originally built, so they've served their time. They're gotten outdated at this point, and it is time to update those. So it is recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Ed approve funding for the purchase of those 32 ClearTouch panels for the amount not to exceed $151,334 from Ed Tech 12 to be paid for by SPOS 6.
Okay.
Just got one question.
Yes, Ms. McDonald? McDonald?
I know, he's
Oh.
talking to,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
okay, that's okay. I was just curious as to what I asked Mr. Wheeler, what happens to the old equipment?
So in this case, a lot of staff members have already asked for those because the panel itself is good. It's the onboard computer that's old and outdated.
Sure.
So what we've done where we've replaced those in the past is we just mount them on a stand and we can hook up an external device like a person's laptop, just provide an HDMI cable. So they're using them in conference rooms and just bringing their laptops and hooking them up to them so they can still use them as a giant display.
Okay.
It's just not using the onboard computer anymore.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay, what is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown,
Second.
second by Ms. McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. Mr. Harper, continue with laptop refresh purchase.
Yes, sir. The Technology Department is seeking to approve funding for the purchase of 120 ThinkPad laptops for an amount not to exceed $139,800 from Virtucom, again from SPOS 6. This is part of our annual refresh that this time it's impacting our teaching and learning division, the staff members in that department, as well as all the clerks and school secretaries in the district as part of our strategic refresh of those. They're our last group to be moved over to a more portable device as we've been moving everybody in the past years. I do want to point out that Dynabook actually came in as the low bid in this case. Looking into this, the Tecra A40 is a rebranded Toshiba device. We don't really have any experience with those. We've been using the ThinkPad T14s with teachers and staff for really the past 2 years. So we know it's a reliable device, and we felt it better to just go with an established device and vendor that we have an experience with, because Virtucom's been serving us easily for the past 8 years. We are getting some test models for this Tecra A40 just so we can experience them, just see how reliable they are and how they work, just as an option moving forward for the next few years. So it is recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve funding for the purchase of those 120 ThinkPad laptops for an amount not to exceed $139,800 from Virtucom through SPOS 6.
Any questions, board members? What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cook,
Second.
second by Ms. McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. And lastly for you, Mr. Harper, is our JAR charging stations for the middle school.
Yes, sir. So this is a continuation of what we started at the last board meeting about providing a charging solution. Let me jump into reading this first part, though. The Instructional Technology Department is seeking the approval of funding for the purchase of JAR charging systems for an amount not to exceed $97,060 from EdTech 12 to be paid for through SPOS 6. And as I mentioned, this will be used in the middle schools to give those teachers and staff a way to house the Chromebooks in the classroom and to keep them charged throughout the day. Following up on our one-to-one as we started last year in the spring were concerns about devices not being charged thoroughly during the day or at home in the evenings, and teachers needing additional devices. And so after a lot of conversations with staff members, we came back to this solution to be implemented at the middle and high schools. And so again, I'll point out the note in here that even though we're housing them in the Chromebook, it's the same for the high school. For any of those dual enrolled students, students who aren't on campus for courses, or students who need devices just doing homework and stuff, there's still an option. We're making it now where they can check it out from the media center, and they'll keep it on loan like a book, so it'll give them a period of a week. This helps us keep a visual eye on the device and making sure that any repairs are needed. Instead of waiting till spring right before testing, where we're having to do a mass collection and shipping those out to get them repaired before the testing window starts. So this will give us a little bit more effective manner, and it should minimize the amount of devices that we lose at the high schools and middle schools over the course of the year. So it's recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve funding for the purchase of jar charging systems for an amount not to exceed $97,060 and to be paid for through SPLOST 6.
Okay, board members, any questions? What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown,
Second.
second by Mr. Holmes. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do want to ask one question in
Sure.
reference to some correspondence we received. And I think Dr. Simmons is preparing to answer, but Mr. Harper, the checkout program is still available for high school students.
Yes, sir.
And so, Dr. Simmons, with that answer being yes, I think that question that we were presented, I hope that person was made aware of students able to do this.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Yes, I spoke with the administrator, and I think it was a matter of ensuring that the word had been given to faculty and students alike, and that there was common understanding in that regard.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. Next, we have our 2024-2025 GSCS fundraiser list. Dr. Warren?
Good evening, board members and Dr. Simmons. I'm here before you to seek approval of our district fundraiser list for the 24-25 school year. This is a yearly item. Each year, schools and groups within schools engage in a number of activities related to raising funds for various school-related purposes. These funds generally augment monies from system allocations. They're used to purchase specific items identified by particular schools or organization within schools. We reviewed the list of fundraisers and compiled them for your approval this evening. Throughout the school year, if a club or a team or a PTO did not submit a fundraiser list for approval, they can review the list and select a fundraiser to conduct in their building. The fundraiser requests were reviewed for compliance for food purchases by Mr. Willer, and he's blessed them. So now we're ready to seek board approval. So it is recommended that our board approve the 24-25 proposed district fundraiser list.
Any questions, board members?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Dr. Warren, I know we get a plethora of lists every year. Are there any fundraisers that just drop off that no longer continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many?
Last year, I want to say about 15 to 20 dropped off from last year to this year. Each school submits as part of our end of the school year process, and we look at them over the summer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brown?
Question, how many of these fundraisers are local folks?
I will have to count them up and see and get back with you in terms of how many are local.
Okay, and could you, for those who are watching, can you go through the process of what you have to do in order to become a vendor for the fundraiser list?
Mr. Jones?
The principals, I believe, are soliciting that information each year, and they're reviewing those lists and then send out a correspondence towards the end of the year to get ready for the beginning of the year. But I think each individual principal is looking and reviewing that list. I think if a vendor wants to solicit fundraising, they're reaching out to the principal. If they want to be a vendor for like doing business with the district, receive a check for services, then they would deal with my office and for the compliance, W-9 purposes, et cetera.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Jones, Mr. Brown's question in essence was, what does one need to do to become a vendor?
Okay.
Whether it be fundraiser or not.
Okay, yeah, they would reach out to my office, and Carol Timms, Ms. Timms would be the person of contact, and it'd be a formal process to tell us what they're wanting to do. They would have to provide that W-9, and then they will be added to the vendor list for the schools to choose from, et cetera.
And I guess the extra step is a fundraiser request will review with compliance with federal guidelines and regulations. I guess they get a copy of those to see.
That's when it relates to selling food items, like not selling during the school day and meeting certain nutritional values.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
All right. What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown and a second by Ms. McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0.
All right, thank you.
And then, Mr. Jones, if you'll talk with us about the Booster Support Organization's approvals.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. Good to see you again. The district recommends approval of the PTO organizations that have submitted the required documentation per policy LEC. This current recommendation includes 2 schools, Orrs Elementary PTO and Crescent PTO. As a reminder, 6 to 9 months ago, the board was presented a new policy LEC. We went through an extensive review, 2 principal meetings, I believe it was, some community stakeholder input. I think Mr. Brown had some really good input. We collaborated on and looked at some surrounding districts to come up with what we wanted to provide to the board. And so this has come to fruition now. Also, Bill Stykes, I think he stepped out, but I do want to recognize him. He has had a major part in this in soliciting input from the principals. I know there's a couple of principals in the room. He's been reaching out to them and getting feedback, and has a very organized process. So it goes through that review, and then it goes through my review and before it comes to you for approval. So with that being said, it's recommended that the Griffin-Spalding Board of Education approve the PTO organizations that have submitted the required documentation per policy LEC. And this current recommendation includes Orrs Elementary PTO and Crescent PTO. And there's also a matrix. Lonnie, if you'll roll the screen down. In subsequent times when I come to you, I can put ones on here and show their progress, but we're only showing you the 2 tonight that have met all required items. The 501c3 is an optional item. So one school has got that documentation, one doesn't. It's not required. It just simply means if the school tells the person donating that their money is tax deductible, then they need to be a 501c3. All right. And there are additional schools that are ready to be approved, but as of the cutoff of here, these are the 2 that we've got tonight.
Okay. Any questions, board members? Awesome. What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Jones. We were able to, create this policy so that, it's all about transparency and people saying that we're not sure how to do certain things, what the process were for this, for that, what documents do you need. So now it lives within the policy and the regulation that the items that are needed and, all those different things. So just excited to be able to create policy to make our school district better in every area that we could possibly think of. And so thank you, Mr. Jones, to you, to Mr. Stykes, and everybody else who worked on the policy. We greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Mr. Holmes?
You have one?
I got a question to Mr. Doss about something else.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I see Ms. Chambers is here in Crescent, went a step further for a 501c3. I just wanted to ask, what limitation, what financial limitation did you all fall up under? Do you know by chance? The amount that you anticipate receiving, there's a cutoff, different amounts. You don't know the amount? Okay, because I know. Okay. So, would you know, Mr. Jones, because you know with the 501c3, they have different funding levels, and the requirements are different. Like 5,000, no, you're not going to receive any more than 5,000. They go up to, over 100,000. But
Yeah, I'll have to check on that. I know our primary focus was the PTO or the Booster Club receiving that to communicate to the stakeholders that they could use it and view it as tax deductible, but I'll have to get back with you on that.
okay, that would be good to know, because there are different tax regulations up on the 501c3. I know Mr. Dawson is familiar with that. If you're not anticipating a whole lot of money, you don't fall up under the stringent requirement. But if you receiving in excess of like $50,000, I think they push you up to a different step. So that would be good to know.
Right. I know in some of the booster organizations, and I'll relate that kind of to GRCCA, where they're a nonprofit, we have to file like a Form 990 tax return for them every year in November. So there's certain requirements, if their receipts as a whole get higher, that the organization has to file that, like the Booster Club would. So, but I'll follow back with you on that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So at this point, I think I had a motion,
That's correct.
and I didn't get a second, so I should not have allowed discussion until we got that.
Second.
So I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify then by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. I apologize for that.
You good, sir? You get your question.
All right, we are moved now to item 12, which is presentations and discussions, policy IDDF, special education programs. Dr. Ridley?
Good evening again. The district is presenting policy IDDF, special education programs, for first read. Board policy IDDF, special education programs, is recommended as presented. There are no recommendations for revisions at this time. The policy states that we will provide a free, appropriate education in the least restrictive environment, where we will follow all rules related to special education of our students. Our next steps are to place the information into assembly and hold it there for 30 days and see if there are any changes that need to be made.
Board members, any questions on this? All right, thank you very much. You can go right on into policy JGF2.
All right, policy JGF2, seclusion or restraint of students, for first read. Board policy JGF2, seclusion or restraint of students, is recommended as presented. There are no recommendations for revisions at this time. The district will post this policy into assembly to receive input from board members and stakeholders for 30 days. The policy will be brought back at the next board meeting for second reading and final board adoption.
All right, board members, Mr. Brown, you had.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Doss. I know this policy deals with seclusions and restraints. Maybe this can be embedded into this policy, but I think it's important for us to have a discussion about scholars, school-aged children, being put in handcuffs. And so I don't know what we need to do as a district, but we've had that happen before, and I believe that maybe there were de-escalation techniques that were not followed, but just want us to make sure that in looking at this policy that we do put language in there about putting handcuffs on school-aged children, especially in our elementary and middle schools.
So that brings up a question for me, Dr. Ridley. This has to do with all students, all departments, this particular policy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I want to add
Mr.
a
Holmes?
question to Mr. Brown's comment, and I think this is for our board attorney. When I see the word restraint, it kind of, makes me uneasy, because I know in the medical field, in situation, you have to have a physician's order or approval. Is that the case? like I said, I know, even with, there's some situations with, mental patients or medical patients,
Right.
they have to have, a doctor's order. There could be a verbal order. I just wondered if that applies with the,
I mean, I don't know, quite frankly, in the educational setting, I don't know that there would be time for a teacher to go confirm whether there was a doctor's order or
well,
not.
not so much a doctor's order, but do they have any kind of standing protocol that they can use, saying if a kid is fighting and stuff like that?
It's to protect that child or the other children around.
Right.
So,
That's what it says.
yes, I mean, that's what they're trained to do, is to restrain when it's appropriate to protect either other children or that child from harming themselves.
Okay.
And I can get you more,
So
we can
so-
talk, I think.
I thought I saw a statue. I was reading it. Not mistaken. What was it?
Ms. McDonald, you had something? Well,
I agree with what Mr. Brown said, and I appreciate the questions Mr. Holmes has asked, but I'm sitting here thinking about, sometimes in my career, it was SPED students, based on their disability, their behavior, their outbursts. This would include them also, I would assume, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Because I don't sit here and think about a child being put in handcuffs. But I know that sometimes that happens. I was just thinking along the terms of just our SPED students that sometimes need a redirection and I know that those teachers are well-trained with regard to that, so.
Mr. Brown, did you have more?
No, I think that's it. Dr. Simmons and I had a sidebar, so we're looking forward to continuing this conversation. I just would like to, in this particular policy, in line, let me see which one it was. Where it talks about, and maybe this could be as part of the regulation, but when it talks about we support positive approach to behavior uses proactive strategies, and I guess we could put a line in there that says Griffin-Spalding County supports where it says it, but I guess it needs to be that teachers are trained and folks who are, doing this have the proper certifications and training in order to do this. And so I don't know where it needs to be in it, but if we could just rearrange some wording to where that is in there. So we're looking at in lines 9 through 11. Lines 9 through 11.
Document.
Need any more information, Dr. Ridley?
I got it.
Everybody's good? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ridley.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Jones, our July 2024 monthly financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members again. This is our first month of the new fiscal year, FY25. July and August are normally months where the revenues look a little different because we're still closing out the prior year and doing accruals and stuff that we have to pay in one year but book it in the prior. So here, $43.3 million is still what we're showing for our fund reserve and general fund at the moment. Nutrition still at $2.5 million. Page number 2 is our general operating statement for the general fund. $2.8 million in revenue, $2.7 million in expense, so it's still to the good, about $100,000 so far. Again, that's not unusual at this time of the year. Page 3, special revenues. You'll see that there's no revenues at the top. And those grants are still getting approved where we can draw on them from the Department of Education, and we do have some beginning of the year expenses at the bottom on the yellow. Page 4 will be the nutrition operating statement. So very little revenue for Mr. Wheeler there in the month of July, and he still had some operating expenses for salaries and then some equipment that he has purchased. So there is a deficit for the current month, but he's still at an operating reserve to the positive, which was on page 1. Page number 5 is our investment register. About $64 million is what we're managing. Now, this will probably change next month because we closed our bond transaction. We will close it this Thursday. With some documents signed today, so $49.5 million will be coming in for us to manage as well. So this, when we come in here next month, we'll probably have that on it. And then our very last SPLOST 6 receipt, close to $1.2 million. So this will close us out, and you'll see it just finished out a year early, but we still collected right at $54 million when the referendum called for $50 million because of the timing. That's approximately $4 more million. And there's interest earnings on this too. This is just the deposit. So that's great news for Griffin-Spalding. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay, board members, any questions about the financial report? Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board members, you had a couple of informational items in there, the construction renovations and our monthly facilities and maintenance reports. And at this time, we do have something for executive session, but we'll move into our governance team comments. I'll start with Mr. Holmes to my left.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Ms. McDonald?
I don't either. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Cook?
Been a great evening tonight. I want to thank our young man from Futrell Road Elementary for bringing so much personality to our board meeting tonight. You've charmed every one of us, and we expect to hear great things from you in the future. I know you will do well in whatever you do. Good luck to you, and continue to be a model student like you are.
Awesome. Mr. Brown?
Thank you so much. Yeah, shout out to our amazing boss, our young scholar over at Futrell Road. Young brother, keep doing what you're doing. We greatly appreciate you. Who do you have with you tonight?
You're messing up his game.
Can you introduce who do you have with you tonight? Okay. All right. Awesome. And just want to, we had a great, awesome Archway retreat, feeling renewed and revived and rested about the work they're going to do in our community, for it to be evident not only in District 1, but in Districts 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so just want to give a shout out to our new Archway professional for an amazing job, to Chairman Doss and Reverend Carmen Caldwell. Thank you guys so much for what you do for our community. When most of us are working and sleeping and doing other stuff, you two are up thinking about how to make our community a better place. And so for that, we say thank you for your work in that. And just hope back to school is going well for everybody. Seems like things are getting settled. Issues that we had in the beginning are being worked out. And so as I said nearly 2 weeks ago, is to be patient with us. Your patience, we greatly appreciate, and things are getting worked out. So kudos to our cabinet members, kudos to the teachers, staff members, our directors in different departments for rolling up your sleeves and just making it do what it do to get back to normal for our first day and week and 2 weeks of school. And so just want to say thank you for that, and no other comments, Mr. Chair.
All right, Dr. Simmons? Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. We do have executive session to discuss and deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, evaluation of personnel. With that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Holmes had a comment.
All right, Mr. Holmes?
It's for backtracking, but I was trying to do two things at once, and I was focused with this restraint thing with our board attorney. But I did want to, I had it in my notes too. I just noticed this situation. I know we can't completely eliminate it, but we can be proactive. If you all remember, we were somewhere where they had on the back of their business cards instructions on how to address problems or things in the system. I'm gonna say this as gentle as I can, because I think we are a community that's kind of driven by social media. But for our parents, I wanna suggest to maybe Dr. Simmons and our communication department that we go ahead and put that as a priority to let, because I really don't think some honestly don't know, and there's some that just know and just don't want to use it. But if we could put directions for how people can handle problems in our system, you know, a list of where they need to start. If they got a problem at the school level, they need to be talking to that principal, whether it's constituents or staff. From there, you know, we can disseminate where they go from there. But I think that's a big issue that board members, we sometimes get caught up in, and really we should be kind of cautious on facilitating people to do that. And if we're going to see a change in the culture, we have to be the change, and we have to direct people to follow those steps. And I did want to make mention of that we follow through on having those instructions on the back of business cards at the school level, you know, the central office level. And that way it'll help people, kind of guide people on how they can handle situations, because I think we just had a recent email. We get them all the time, but I think if people just knew where to go, where to start, what's the process to handle problems, we won't have some of the confusion that we have.
Okay, thank you. All right, I would entertain that motion then to go into executive session.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown, second by Ms. McDonald. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. Thank you for being here, and we are adjourned at this point to go into executive session.
Definitely how you spell it.